Do you have the counsel there? Is your counsel around?
Yes, Johana.
Wait.
Johana, let us do the communication.
Good afternoon. Is that Mr. Koske? Okay.
Just sit. One going.
Can you mute? The stand is that given the accused standing in the society, he is likely to influence members of public in his utterances. It is also stated that the words used by the accused person and stated in the charge sheet are a threat to national security. The prosecution has referred the court to the affidavit sworn in support of this objection to bail. The affidavit is sworn by Inspector Jombe Brown of DCI Narok County. The officer swears that he became aware of a video clip circulating on social media where the accused person is captured issuing threats, insults, and abuses in a public address. He also swears that the situation on the ground is volatile based on the effect of the words that were uttered by the accused person. The officer also states that the accused, who is a member of parliament, has influence on the community and members of public and has the capacity to interfere with the witnesses. He has urged the court to take note of recent utterances that have been made by some members of public in the past, which utterances amount to hate speech and ethnic contempt, and which have resulted in ethnic clashes in Mau area. The prosecution has admitted that these are compelling reasons that can enable the court decline to grant accused bond. Several decided cases have been quoted in support of the prosecution submission. The accused counsel, Mr. Koske, has submitted that the reasons given by the prosecution do not attain the threshold for refusal of bond. The defense has emphasized on the accused's right to presumption of innocence and right to bail. On the issue of interference with witnesses, the defense has submitted that witnesses are already known and are stated in the charge sheet. It stated that the witnesses named are public officers who are not under the control of the accused person and that they are not likely to be interfered with by the accused person or influenced in any way. It is also contended that the alleged scene of crime is not in the accused constituency and therefore influence of witnesses is unlikely. It is submitted that the prosecution has failed to give the instances alleged to have been caused by hate speech in the recent past that are stated by the prosecution in their submission. The court has been urged to note that the offenses before the court do not carry a sentence of more than 3 years imprisonment and they are therefore misdemeanors. The court is urged to disregard the objection by the prosecution and thus admit the accused person to bail on reasonable terms. After hearing both sides, it's the court's duty to determine if the accused person should be granted bond and the terms of the same. Our bail and bond policy guidelines set out the principles that guide the court in determining an application of this nature. These principles are well known to both the counsel before the court, and they are as follows. The court has to consider the accused's right to to be presumed innocent under Article 52 of the Constitution. 2, the court has to put into consideration the accused's right to liberty, and that pretrial detention should be a measure of last resort, with emphasis that criminal justice institutions should make every reasonable effort to avoid pretrial detention. 3, that the accused's obligation to attend trial, given that bail and bond provides guarantees that accused will attend court. That the accused's right to reasonable bail and bond terms, given the principle number 2, right to liberty, should be considered. That the court should also consider the balance between accused's right and the interest of justice. On this principle, the policy provides that an accused person, where possible, should be allowed to keep the fabric of his or her life intact by, for example, maintaining employment and family and community ties. That preserving the liberty of an accused person also permits him to take an active part in planning of his defense. On the other hand, it's emphasized by the policy that the state has a duty to ensure public safety between the time of arrest and trial of the accused person, as well as a duty to protect the integrity of the criminal justice system. And that where there is convincing evidence that accused person may undermine the integrity of criminal justice, for example, by intimidating witnesses or interfering with evidence, then a need arises to either deny such a person bail or bond, or set stringent bail or bond terms. The other factor the court should also consider under the principles is a consideration for the right of the victim. The policy also sets out factors for court's consideration in granting bail and bond, and they are as follows. The court should consider the nature of charge or offenses and seriousness of punishment to be meted if accused person is found guilty. Number 2, it should consider the strength of the prosecution case, character and antecedents of the accused person. Number 3, it should also consider the failure of the accused person to observe bail or bond terms. Another factor the court should consider is the likelihood of interfering with witnesses. Also, the need to protect the victim or victims of crime. Also, the relationship between the accused person and potential witnesses. The court should also consider if an accused person is a child offender. And lastly, if the accused person is a flight risk. The court should also consider if the accused is gainfully employed, as well as public order, peace and security, and also protection of the accused person himself. Bearing these principles and factors in mind, and also the submissions by the parties and the authorities that are quoted, the court has considered all that, and the main issue for the prosecution is that accused standing in the society is that he is in a position to interfere with witnesses as well as influence them. The prosecution has not denied that the witnesses' names are already set out in the charge sheet. I have seen the list of the witnesses that are set out in the charge sheet, and which the defense referred the court to. One witness is a civilian, another one is a police officer, and the last is stated as the Communication Authority of Kenya. The police arrested the accused person, and therefore it would be absurd to conclude that the same officers would easily be manipulated or compromised or interfered with by the accused person. The officer at the Communication Authority of Kenya, the officers at the Communication Authority of Kenya are not named in the charge sheet, and therefore it would be difficult for the accused person to know who is likely to face in court from that authority. The prosecution has not stated how the accused would be able to influence the civilian. I said one of them is a civilian, so it's not stated how he'd be able to influence the civilian. For example, it has not been stated who that civilian is, and whether there is a likelihood that he's known to the accused person, and whether the accused person would easily access him. The prosecution has also not denied that the witnesses would not be drawn from the accused constituency, where he would have a lot of influence. I am therefore not convinced, and I do not find this a compelling reason to deny the accused person bond. On the issue of threat to the security, the prosecution has cited instances where skirmishes have arisen in the Mau area due to utterances and that evoke ethnic contempt. The instances are in the public domain, and there is no indication by the prosecution that the accused has been charged and convicted of any of those offences that are arising from such previous utterances. It's stated by the prosecution, and it would therefore be undesirable to force him to carry other people's cross by denying him bond on account of that. In any event, this court finds that the police will still be at liberty to arrest the accused person if he makes utterances that amount to criminal acts. And therefore, the finding of this court is that the prosecution objection is not supported with cogent reasons and facts. The accused has no previous records, as none has been presented before the court. He is a member of parliament, and I do not find that he is a flight risk. The chances of interfering with the witnesses has been analyzed above, and they are minimal. And therefore, I find no compelling reasons to deny the accused person bond. The court therefore orders as follows. Accused is granted bond of 2 million with 2 sureties of like amount. He is also granted an alternative of cash bail of 1 million, and he is hereby barred from making any utterances that may tend to incite violence, stir ethnic contempt, as well as infringe on other citizens' rights as enshrined under the Constitution of Kenya. And this should not be done pending the hearing and determination of this case. These are the orders of the court.